Yeah, so, okay, I'm bored, but I thought there's a couple of points. Well, there's a point here that I think is worth making. And I'll just do a very quick response, I think, possibly in this video, a very quick response to a comment that Ben made in his latest reply video, if I can find that particular thing reasonably easily, because it's quite a long video. Okay, so here this is from Ben's a second reply to Steve Mumbling, second reply to me.
Oh, jump on everyone.
Oops, and now this is relating to Marcus Allen, and I think this is worth showing, and I think you'll see why.
That I've noticed. If you've noticed any more, let me know.
But you won't provide any evidence. You're making accusations against Marcus's character, which are completely unfounded.
Now, what he's saying, that I'm making accusations about Marcus Allen's character because I said he made some Freudian slips in Ben's Dreaming Sources presentation. You know, I pointed out that he said he's telling everyone that the moon landings are fake, it's all rubbish, yet he's standing on a lectern in front of a crowd saying, Von Braun and co. were the Germans that got America to the moon. He showed a picture of Aldrin and Armstrong and said, this picture was taken before they even reached the moon, and there was another one as well. Ben saying I provided no evidence of what I was saying. And I showed a clip with Marcus Allen saying those things in his own words at Ben's Dreaming Sources presentation. I think that's evidence enough. But anyway, just listen to this.
Because you have no evidence to say this. You can disagree with him if you like, Steve. That's fine, but to say...
Yeah, well, thanks, Ben, but I don't need your approval to disagree with anybody. Thanks all the same.
He's a bad person who's making it all up.
I didn't say he's a bad person. I just said he's making it all up. Give him something to do. Make a few quid. Peddle some magazines.
It's a very serious matter. You should not be saying these things like Marcus without any evidence. And
again, I presented the evidence.
Okay, so let's move on to the next bit. I should point out Marcus, yeah, because Steve... Actually, this is something Steve said earlier on about Marcus when he was talking about Nexus, when Marcus was promoting Nexus. He basically said, oh look, Marcus is just flogging he's hawking his stupid piece of Codswallop magazine and it's all a big money-making scam for him. I've known Marcus for many years. He's an honest man and he believes in what he says and what he promotes in the magazine. Whether you agree with him or not, if you think he's wrong, fine. But explain why he's wrong. Don't just say he's wrong because he's...
on every occasion I do.
He's a bad guy and he's lying and he's talking Codswallop to make money. Marcus had a very successful corporate career. He worked for Toyota. He was a trained photographer. Do you not think that he could have... If he wanted to make money... he could have stuck on that career path. Don't you think he could have done
that? No, I don't. And I'm about to show you why. Okay. He's known Marcus for many years. He knows that he was a photographer, trained photographer, and he had a corporate career with Toyota. He's known him for many years. But Marcus Allen obviously never told him that he didn't make any money as a photographer and that he was made redundant from Toyota. So he's known him for many years. And he's an honest, upstanding guy, but he's never ever told Ben that, obviously. So let's just take a look at the next clip where we have Mr. Allen telling us that he never made any money as a photographer and he was made redundant from Toyota, so he thought he'd have a crack at selling these Nexus magazines. Right, now we're going to hear Marcus Allen in his own words telling us how successful he was as a photographer, and the real reason he left his corporate career at Toyota. Now, obviously, as I mentioned in the previous clip, he's obviously not. He's not thought to tell Ben Emlyn-Jones this.
I was a photographer in London in the 60s.
Yeah,
And great fun, interesting place to be,
yeah.
but didn't pay the rent.
There you go. So he was a photographer in the 60s, but didn't pay the rent. So he wasn't making any money out of that, Ben. Sorry, mate, but if he hasn't told you that, then if he told you he was making a lot of money and had a successful career as a photographer, he's pulling your leg, I'm afraid. And let's just see what he's got to say about his corporate career.
So I had to get another job, which I did, and that lasted quite a long time. And then I got made redundant in the early 90s. So I know what it's like to have to look for something else.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's what happened to his corporate career, Ben. He didn't voluntarily leave. He was made a redundant.
And what I found was Nexus magazine. It's Australian, so my wife and I had our 25th wedding anniversary as a trip to Australia, and we found out what Nexus was about. And they wanted to get Nexus sold in England, so they said, Duncan Rhodes, that's the editor and owner, he said, give it a go, see how you get on.
There you go. So there's Marcus Allen in his own words, telling us that he didn't make any money as a photographer and that he was made redundant from his corporate career at Toyota. So he thought he'd have a crack at selling Nexus magazine. And the rest, as they say, is history. Spruiking Nexus magazine, spruiking all these tall tales. There we are. That's Mr. Marcus Allen. All right, well, and again, Ben, perhaps you should ask him about this because, you know, if he's never told you this, he's making you look foolish by you telling everybody that he gave up a successful career to sell Nexus. Gave up a successful corporate career, gave up a successful career as a photographer. Or did you say he had a successful career as a photographer? I can't remember now. You might have just said he was a trained photographer. I can't remember now. But you certainly said that he left his corporate job to do this Nexus stuff and spruiking this fake moon landing nonsense. Why would he have given that up? It gave him up, Ben. It gave him up. Okay, well, I think if I can find it, I'm just going to include one little clip from Ben's latest reply to comments video, because he made a comment there that I think's just worth commenting on, if I can find it without too much difficulty. If it's going to be a bit of a pain to find, I'll end this video here. Okay, this is just a very quick. This is from Ben's latest reply to comments video, and this is just a very quick comment. And because it's so short, it's not worth doing as a separate standalone. So I'm just going to tack it onto this Marcus Allen video. So here we are. This is Ben, and he's doing his Steve mumbling impression. It's funny, you know, I've watched a lot of my own videos. I'm one of my biggest fans. I know you'll find that hard to believe. But I've never ever heard myself sound quite like Ben's impression of me.
All right. You didn't show my explanation on the mission elapsed time clock.
I don't even think I could do that voice.
Box and lemon command modules. Marcus Allen and co are talking rubbish, blah blah blah. You're not doing any favours.
There's no change there. I've actually started this just slightly early, so just bear with me for a few seconds, please.
As for the flag in the LEM window goes, imagine you're on the surface 20 feet below the window and you're looking up through the window, past a graticule as a clipboard. It's an
You see, this wouldn't sound. This would sound quite This will sound quite innocuous without the ridiculous voice that Ben gives me here. If you could just imagine reading this in his normal voice, or even reading it in my voice, you know, it doesn't sound. It would really sound quite innocuous. But he's got this mindset with regard to my comments. You know, whenever he sees a comment from me, it has to be hostile. Has to be hostile. Yes.
Exactly the right place and has the identical aspect ratio as your flag.
Absolutely spot on. Check it out for yourself.
The reflection of sunlight is too bright to see inside the lem. It's going to be too bright to see any reflections too, isn't it? Oh, I almost forgot. You didn't mention or show either of my clips showing how radio operators bouncing signals off the moon. I wonder why. Well, I didn't. All right. Well, maybe I didn't. I told you, Steve, in the video that I would have to omit some of the points you made simply for the sake of brevity.
Yeah, brevity. I'm not sure you got quite the right word there, Ben. But yes, you can't respond to many of the points because you can't, because they're perfectly valid. But anyway, this is the bit that I actually wanted to get to.
I told you. I could go into every single thing you said. As for the operators bouncing signals off the moon, in a sense, that's what's interesting about that is it doesn't, it actually beats the purpose of the retroreflector, doesn't it? Because if you do it without the retroreflector, you don't need it. So anyway.
Okay, so he's wrong, of course, and again he's showing his sort of ignorance with regard technical stuff. So what they do with lunar ranging is they use lasers for that. They use laser light for that. Now the wavelength of laser light is nanometers, very, very small wavelengths. Even compared to microwave signals, radio microwave signals. But the wavelength of light, you're talking about nanometers in wavelength. And because it's nanometers in wavelength, when it hits the moon, because of the moon is covered in surface is covered in dust, this dust is all jagged because it doesn't get eroded by anything. And the laser is diffused all over the place. So you're talking about nanometer wavelengths. Hits the moon. It's just diffused all over the place by the dust. So very little bounces back. So that's why they put the reflector on the moon. So there are far many more photons reflected directly back in the direction they've come from than there would be without the reflector being there. So no, it doesn't negate the need for the reflector at all. That's just Ben showing his lack of understanding with what they're actually doing. Radio waves, microwaves, even microwaves, much greater wavelengths than laser light, visible or otherwise. Okay, so that's about it. So it's only a short video, this one. I just thought I'd bang out a very quick video. There's a couple of things that sprung to mind. I was going to do a video before, and I've heard Ben talking about Marcus Allen and giving up his career to do this. So I just thought it was worth including the previous couple of clips, and because this is just a short thing, I've just tacked this on the end. So rather than I'm not going to respond to the comments in this video. I don't think it's really worth it. But that particular one, I think it is worth pointing out why the reflector is still required on the lunar surface. With regard to laser arranging, because it's done with lasers. Okay, well, hope you found that interesting. Always entertaining, these guys, aren't they? And as always, thanks for watching, and perhaps I'll catch you again.